Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing one of my absolute favorite types of videos to do, and that is doing my death predictions for the next season of the Walking Dead television series. This one's going to be for The Walking Dead Season 8. And this one will contain spoilers for The Walking Dead TV series if you're not caught up. It will also contain spoilers for The Walking Dead comic book series because we're going to be basing, our death predictions, of course, for Season 8 on the comic book series storyline that's going to be adapted. So spoiler warning for the comics if you're not caught up on that as well. So in terms of where we're at right now in comic book storyline placement, we're about 40%, I would say, of the way through All Out War. So we're not quite half way through. There's still some events in All Out War Part 1 that have not been adapted yet from the comics to the TV series, and then we have All Out War Part 2, which if I had to pick, as I've said in my comic book series reviews, this is very exciting for Season 8 because All Out War Part 2 I do think is probably the strongest volume in all of The Walking Dead, which puts us in a very exciting spot to start off The Walking Dead Season 8. Also, of course, the premiere is episode 100, so it's the 100th episode of the TV series, so, also very exciting. I'm sure they're going to have some special stuff planned for that. Showrunner Scott Gimple has also said that the first 4 episodes of the season are going to be extremely exciting, so I'm thinking that what he means by that is that they're probably going to go through the majority of All Out War in the next quarter season and the next 4 episodes of Season 8. As such, I'm thinking episode 100 will most likely be the survivors attacking the Sanctuary, which is an event that we have not seen adapted yet from All Out War Part 1. Of course, that's not the end of the war. It continues on afterwards, and there's some back and forth fighting throughout. We do have character deaths on both sides, throughout. Of course, this is a war, so you're going to have deaths on both the survivor side. You're also going to have deaths on the side of the saviors. Since we did have a pretty big death in the Walking Dead Season 7 finale with Sasha, that being kind of one of our major deaths, I want to say, for All Out War. We're also going to see some others. Now we get into spoilers for the characters that are killed off in the comic book series. So one that may be killed off in the premiere, unless they remix it or change it to somebody else, would be Eric. Who, of course, is Aaron's boyfriend, very protective of Aaron. So when they attack the Sanctuary in the Walking Dead comic book series, Eric is killed off during that sequence. For this one, I actually think they'll probably keep it the same. I've felt that Eric should be killed off probably for a little while now. And, I guess they could kind of swap someone out for that. They could use somebody like Tobin, or they could use somebody like that, put in his place. But for the TV series version, I'm thinking that maybe they'll just leave that one the same, and that will basically be the same as it was in the comic book series. There's also another one that's pretty exciting from the Walking Dead comic book series, which has not been adapted yet, and it's actually where the saviors attack the survivors at Alexandria. We didn't get to see this part adapted in the Season 7 finale, which is where Negan and the saviors use grenades, and they're chucking grenades over the wall, and they're just blowing up, and in that version, they actually blow off, one of the grenades blows off one of Heath's legs, which, of course, with the TV series, we can't see that happen because Heath is not there right now. But I would not be surprised to see that adapted in some capacity in the first 4 episodes. Maybe not in the first battle in the premiere, but in the next few episodes, one of our characters likely gets one of their legs blown off. It's pretty brutal. Pretty tricky to try and say who they would use for that. Maybe Tobin would get that one, and then you'd have, like I said, Eric have pretty much the same death as he had in the Walking Dead comic book series. But I could see them also using somebody else, like maybe Morgan or somebody like that. The only problem is for them to adapt that one faithfully from the comics. They usually try to stay away from removing limbs lately, like, for example, having Andrew Lincoln's hand cut off, like it was in the Walking Dead comic book series. They avoided that because, of course, then they'd have to CG it in all the time, which is pretty difficult. A leg would be, I would think, somewhat similar in terms of difficulty. So if you're going to do it with a character, you probably would not want to do it with somebody who's one of your main lead characters, because then you'd have to kind of figure out what you're going to do all the time. I'll let you give them some kind of prosthetic or something like that and do something similar to what they did with Merle earlier on. And then, at least from that part, or from the 2 volumes of All Out War, really the only other one I want to say is Cal, who is kind of the watch person at the Hill hilltop, or at least one of them. And in the comic book series during All Out War Part 2, he's killed off as well, too. And aside from that, it's mostly red shirts on both sides. It's mostly red shirts on the side of the survivors and red shirts on the side of the savers, which just means, like, unnamed characters that are there that are killed off that don't really mean much to us. So it seems like to me, mainly we saw the Sasha death in the finale. So that's pretty much the big one I want to say for All Out War, mostly. So we'll have to see what they decide to do with the rest of it. I feel like maybe there needs to be more than that in the TV series version, because they usually, want to include pretty big deaths near the beginning, and pretty much mid-season finales and season finales almost every time. I am thinking the second half of The Walking Dead Season 8 should be pretty fun, though. I think it should be like, a nice time skip, some kind of, a happy part of the series, somewhat similar to the second half of The Walking Dead Season 6, where you just kind of have some lighter episodes. You have a new beginning, you have some happier things happening with new characters being introduced, and then maybe near the end of the season we'll see the introduction of the Whisperers, or at the very least the resolution, depending on how much they stretch it out, of All Out War. So in other words, I'm thinking we might see some deaths near the beginning of the season in the first half, but then probably not much in the third quarter, and then maybe one to wrap up the end of the season or so when we get near the finale for The Walking Dead Season 8. One or two important ones. So let's get started with our list. Let's go through each location. We'll go quick because there are lots of characters now in the TV series, a lot more than there were a couple seasons ago. Let's start with Alexandria. So in Alexandria, of course, we have our kind of A-listers, our mainstays. We've got Rick, we've got Carl Michonne, and then we also have baby Judith. I'd say for all of them at this point, they're all safe. Then we got Daryl. Also, Daryl's safe. Come on, they're really going to kill off Daryl? No, they're not going to kill off Daryl. It's just all there is to it at this point. Aaron also I think is safe. Eric, we gave our thoughts on earlier. I think he'll probably be killed off this season, yeah. Maybe in episode 100, or at least in the first few episodes. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to see. I don't think they're going to remix or change that one. Rosita, I think she's also safe. She did get a lot of time in season 7, but I'm thinking with season 8, I really think that they've kind of elevated Rosita. They've given her a lot of time, and much of that is probably going to remain, and she'll probably be one of our kind of lead survivors, so to speak, especially with some of the others having been killed off now in season 7. Gabriel, also safe. Tara. So Tara's an interesting one because Tara's been in the show a lot longer than anybody would have thought, I think. But she actually may be a character that could be one of those kind of really long-term survivors for the show. They do need them because they're going to be doing 16-episode seasons, and they're planning for the show to go on a long time. So I'm going to put her as a maybe, meaning like, I could see her being killed off, but, also she's important for Oceanside, right? Because she's got a tether to Oceanside, which makes her character pretty important to have, because they would likely use her in those episodes when they want to include Oceanside in the story. So as a result of that, I'm thinking Tara should probably be safe as well, too. So leaning towards safe with her. We got Heath. So we don't know if Heath is going to return this season at all. I've done entire videos on this one. It's up to the actor whether or not he wants to. If not, he'll probably be killed off screen, so you could view it as probably be killed off, I suppose. But it's not like we are going to see it because the actor just may not return to the show at all. I'd like to see him return, but it's going to hinge upon that and whether or not he wants to. If he does, I think he'll return in the second half of season 8, near the end. So near the end of the season, if at all. Otherwise, yeah, you can think of him as pretty much dead. And then we can talk about him in 6 years, like Morales 2.0. Scott. So Scott actually, I think, will be killed off because, of course, Scott, the actor who plays Scott, is actually married to Sonequa Martin Green, who, of course, plays Sasha, who was just killed off. So I think for him, he might decide maybe he'd want to be because, of course, his wife has been killed off at this point, and that maybe he'll decide he kind of wants to leave the show. It's weird to think that he's going to out survive her in the show because he's such a background character. He's maybe a D or C lister at best. But I do think he'll be killed off this season because, of course, what happened with Sasha. I think it's likely that he'll be moving on probably. We've got Francine. So she's another one that's kind of like a D character, I want to say, or C at best. close to red shirt territory. Yeah, I think she might be killed off in All Out War. Tobin is the same. I do think Tobin will be killed off in the next few episodes, so he's another one. And then we've got lots of other Alexandrian red shirts that, of course, will likely some of them be killed off. Some of them were in the finale. You could see them there. And, it's just the same kind of deal with Alexandria. There's a lot of other characters there that we don't always get to see. And, of course, some of them will be killed off here and there throughout the war because that's just the way wars are. You're going to have deaths on both sides for sure. Going over to the hilltop, so we've got, of course, Maggie, Enid, and Jesus. So those are our main, I want to say, characters from there. Of course, you got Gregory as well, too. Maggie, Enid, and Jesus, I think they're all safe. I think they're all safe. I don't think we have to worry about any of them. Cal is a character, of course, like we said, watches the game, probably be killed off. Eduardo might be. And then, of course, we've got lots of others that are red shirts. Gregory, I don't think will be. He's an interesting character, though, and it's kind of funny to see kind of the banter between him and Maggie and some of the other characters around, because he's such a kind of a Weasley character that I think he'll manage to survive for a while. But we do know that he's putting himself in harm's way because he's gone to discuss with Simon, and of course he doesn't know that all this stuff has just happened at Alexandria, and Maggie and the others have made their move. So he's going to be in some trouble, but I think Gregory will survive at least this season. The Kingdom, so led by Ezekiel. Of course, Ezekiel is still a new character at this point. He's a very important character as well, too. And even though we had some major deaths in Season 7 with kind of older characters killed off, we got characters like Ezekiel coming in. So he's still fairly new in the show. I would say Ezekiel is safe, probably for a long time, probably through to maybe even season, 9, 10, 11, something like that. He should be safe for quite a while, I think. But his tiger, Shiva. So Shiva's been pretty cool to see in the series. We have seen her, help out the group, maul and attack some people, but it's difficult for them to do. So I am thinking that Shiva might be killed off this season because, comic book series, but also the fact that she's difficult to do. It's difficult to do the tiger. It costs money for the CG, and we've had kind of some badass sequences with her. Maybe get a couple more in this first quarter, but then after that, likely be killed off at some point during this season. We've got Carol. So Carol's also safe for the same reason I think that Tara might be safe, in that she's a tether character. She's a character that's used from our main group to kind of tether to the kingdom, and I think she'll probably stay at the kingdom after all this is done, because of memories and all that, maybe not wanting to go back to Alexandria. So, I think she's safe as well, too, and I think that that's where we'll see her. Morgan. So this is kind of my A-lister for this season that I actually do think will be killed off. I thought for a little while that they might kill him off, and of course this season 7 they went with Sasha for the finale, but I do think Morgan is one to watch. Lenny James has got other projects he's always working on. He's starting his own show in that. He was disappointed in season 7 with the amount of time he got. Maybe he's thinking it's not worth it to him anymore to do the show because he's such a high-profile actor. We've seen the character come full circle. We've seen him kind of go crazy with a clear state. We've seen him come back to kind of Buddhist monk state, and then we've seen him go back again, so back into his clear state, at least halfway. So he should be awesome to see during All Out War, but I do think at some point this year he'll likely be killed off in season 8. So he's kind of my A-lister for this year that I'm watching carefully. We've got Jerry. So Jolly Jerry, I think he's safe. Diane, I think she's safe. And then the others, red shirts. Of course, red shirts, it's a war. We're going to see lots of different random kingdomers getting killed off likely, and we'll be able to tell them based on their armor most likely. Let's do the bad guys. The Sanctuary, led of course by Negs. So Negan, no frickin' way. Negan is safe. Some people have argued that, end of All Out War, if the survivors defeat the saviors, maybe Rick could kill Negan off because he did promise that he was going to. And that's true. He did make him a promise that he was going to. But no, I think Negs is good. I think he'll find a way out of this one. And I think that Rick, even though he made his promise, he made his threat, he told him he's going to do it, not today, not tomorrow. I don't think he's gonna. I just don't think he's gonna. So really cool stuff. Looking forward to seeing Negan in future seasons. Hoping they don't kill him off. That would be a pretty big twist for me if they did kill him off. But I really don't think they will. Such a huge character. Would you really gonna kill him? He's so good. You kill off the governor, but Negan is special, I think. Then we have Simon. But Simon, I do think so. I've thought this for a little while now. I thought he might be killed off in season 7. Didn't go that way, but I do think that Simon will be be getting killed off in season 8 this year. I just think that, of course, he's going to have other projects he's working on. He's always working on other stuff, the actor, and Stephen Ogan. I just feel like, you don't really need to have him there, and, he'll probably be killed off at some point this year. Then we've got Dwight. So he's kind of, a survivor and sort of a savior as well, too, depending on who's winning, I suppose. Dwight is kind of a maybe, but I kind of doubt it. I mean, at this point, I'm thinking he'll probably be, a long-term survivor. Even though you have Daryl and Dwight, they've kind of used that to their advantage and played off that pretty well there at the end of season 7. Who is Rosita seeing, that kind of thing. So I guess there's some use to having both that are so similar. But I could see someone like Tara, if they were going to kill Dwight off, I'd like to see Tara be the one to do it. I'd like to see Tara get vengeance for Denise and kill off Dwight herself. I think that would be a cool scene, and I don't think anybody would be disappointed if after all the war was done and they had it won and everything, she just walked up and shot him in the back of the head or something. That'd be cool. That'd be pretty cool. But I don't think they'll do it. In other words, I think that she'll let it go and it'll be all right. Eugene. So Eugene is another one that's really interesting. I'll put him as a maybe because he's far different in the TV series than he was in the comic book series. At this point, he has proclaimed himself as Negan. So as such, that's pretty tricky. If he gets in the way, I think the survivors naturally would kill him, as they tried to do in season 7 with the explosives, the finale. But I think if they win the war and Eugene happens to be there, Rosita and the others are going to be like, it's okay, we get it, we know who you are, we get it, we know what you're up to. It's okay, and they'll probably not kill him. So I think he will survive that. Of course, then we have the other savior lieutenants. We've got Wade, who's kind of disappeared, which he may never come back. He was mentioned in Always Accountable, kind of the Savior's first appearance, so to speak, with Dwight and the others, and Sherry and that. We've got Gavin, and Jared as well, too, who are both part of that group that's been going to the Kingdom. So that should be an episode by itself with maybe the Kingdom survivors, the Kingdomers, going after that group and taking out that outpost. So I do think Gavin will be killed off. I do think Jared will be killed off for sure. Someone's got to kill Jared, and it should be pretty good. Get vengeance for what happened to Ben. Maybe you could use Morgan for that, or somebody else. That'll be a sweet scene as well, too, when they kill off Jared. We've got Arat. So she's also in no way. She'll probably live for a long time. She's safe. The other Dr. Carson, also safe. Not his fault what happened with his brother. And you need some doctors around, so I think he's safe for sure. Then we got Sherry, who has left now, so she's kind of undeclared right now. She doesn't have a banner, so to speak. I'm thinking she might come back in the second half of the season, so she might return second half of season 8. That would be cool to see, and could she be involved with the Whisperers or something? That would be kind of cool, because she's kind of disappeared. We don't know where she is. Maybe she ran into the Whisperers and will come back the second half, or possibly season 9. Either way, I do think we'll see her again, and I think she will survive. And then, of course, we have just, other random saviors. Obviously, Joey, not Fat Joey, just Joey. And others, of course, are going to be getting killed off as well, too. Obviously, you got to have quite a few savior deaths, because Rick and the others have to win, so they got to kill off a bunch of saviors, obviously. Then we have, of course, our couple outsider groups. I want to say we have the Junkyard group, which is kind of also one of those that we're really not sure. I think they should use them for a couple episodes. They should get a couple episodes out of them. And we'll have to see if Rick and these survivors can kind of make peace with them. I kind of doubt that they will, because, of course, the Junkyard group, the Scavengers, screwed them over pretty hard there in the season 7 finale. So I do think that they'll probably be getting killed off. Jadis, Tamiel, and Brian, other red shirts as well, too, of course. The only thing that's a question with them is they have so many people. Like, they have so much in the way of numbers. It would be pretty crazy for Rick and the others to, massacre, 90 people. So maybe one of them will survive, and maybe, we'll see them kind of make peace with Rick and the others. But I tend to think that group is, is not really a long-term surviving group, unless it's in the background, if it's like a background surviving group. Otherwise, I think maybe Jadis will be getting killed off, and some of the others as well, too. Then we have the Oceanside, which is kind of like there. We have, Cindy, a few characters from there, Natanya and that. I think they're mostly all safe, unless Rick and the group try to recruit them, which they might send Tara to try to recruit them. But I tend to think that they'll probably stay out of it until the end of the war, and then Rick and the others will bring the guns back to them. And that's pretty much it in terms of our character roster. It's pretty crazy when you look at it. I mean, it's literally gone from, a couple dozen maybe to hundreds of characters now if you include all the red shirts on the different communities. You guys can definitely write your comments below. I want to see them. Let me know who you guys think are going to be getting killed off this season, who you think are safe. Maybe A-listers. Which A-listers do you think? Of course, we'll probably only get maybe a couple of them. But that's pretty much it for me. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going with Eric, Cal, Simon, Tobin, Scott, Gavin, Jared, Morgan, and Jadis, and then of course lots of just random lesser known characters throughout All Out War. So it should be an incredible season. Write those comments below. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you see at this point? Who do you see surviving long term, and who do you think is in territory for being killed off? Write the damn comments below. And if you liked this video, like the video, thumb it up. You can also share. You got a Facebook? Click the share tool. Click Facebook, share it through to Facebook. I appreciate it. And if you're new and you're not subscribed to the channel, what the hell is the matter with you? Click the subscribe button at the bottom left. That'll be it for today's Walking Dead video. Of course, we'll see you guys back again tomorrow for another video. Hope you enjoyed it, guys, and looking forward to an amazing Season 8. I can't wait. And that's it for this video, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow for the next one. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. See you guys.